Hey everybody, this is my 1994 Ford Probe GT. I plan on installing new spark plugs and new spark plug wires on it. Let's get everything over here that I'm going to need. I'm going with NGK's wires and plugs. These are actually the Iridium ones. You're supposed to use, check your manual, see what type of spark plugs they use. You never want to go downgrade. If you're going to go up, so if they have platinum or anything like that, you want to go higher. So I'm just getting the Iridium. Iridiums are just, I know that's a stronger, will last a little longer. Same thing with the NGK wires. Things you're going to need is dielectric grease. Now you normally need some anti-seize lubricant, but with these NGK plugs, there's actually, they tell them not to use it. They have some type of coating on their threads. So they do not recommend using anti-seize. Some other plugs you got to double check. Other plugs you have to use anti-seize, but NGK's you don't have to. Now you're going to need a torque wrench, another wrenches, get the old plugs out. You're going to need something to blow out the chamber, because if you get dust down there, you take a plug out, dust goes down to your solenoid. It's not a good idea. And you're also going to need a 10mm and a Phillips to get this front scoop out. So I'm going to prep my wires and prep my spark plugs. I'll use the dielectric grease. Now some people think the dielectric grease is for putting on your contacts. It's not. It's actually like a moisture barrier. So what I do is I always put it around the base on the porcelain of your spark plugs, and I also put it on the plastic part inside. So basically when the spark plug goes in, it creates like a barrier so moisture doesn't get in there. I'm also going to do the same thing here. So let me get set up and we'll do that right now. So basically how I do it, on the spark plug, got a little brush, just put a little bit of grease on it, not much. Don't need a lot. I just go around this to base. Now for the wire itself, get a little Q-tip, and like I say, you just go around the base where that porcelain's going to go in. You don't want to jab it down in there. You don't need to. You don't need to get on the contact, and actually on the outside of the face of it. Same thing in here. You don't need much. Pull the contact back. That's basically it. So I'll continue it. I'll prep all the other wires, prep all the other spark plugs. Like I say, you don't put this actually on the contacts itself. I put it on the base. It's really just a moisture barrier. And also a little bit of grease here. So your spark plugs don't get freeze up. It'd be easier to take this off in the future. But let me prep all the rest, and I'll go into the next thing. Alright, to get to at least the bottom side of the distributor cap, I'm going to take this off, make it a lot easier. It's really not a big deal. Got 3 10mm right here. Some nuts. And I'm just going to loosen this clamp here with Phillips. Slide it out. And now I can get to my plugs easier on the back of the distributor. I do notice I got a little bit of oil leak here on my valve cover gasket. And one thing that's important when you take these plugs out, if you got oil down here, which I don't, you got a problem. I mean, you're definitely losing a lot. You're leaking a lot of oil from your valve cover gasket, but I don't. So I'm not going to really worry about that little bit. If I do have a lot of oil in here, then it's going to become an issue. But so if you pop out your wire and you got a lot of oil, this thing will be soaking with oil. You got an issue. All right, so the next step is you need some air to blow out. So you pull your wire out, leave your old spark plug in there, and you got to blow some type of air in here to blow any dust or anything else, any particles out, just in case you don't want them to go down into the cylinder. So get compressed air. I got a little blower. Blows it out real quick. You get your ratchet extender. It's a 5/8 socket. It's actually a socket designed for spark plugs. And you can break them loose. Now, another important thing to do, you never want to do this with a hot engine. You want it cold. If it's hot, your plugs are hot, metal expands, might be bound up, and if it breaks off, you're in a really world of hurt. So you never do it with a hot engine. Make sure it's cold. That's it. Inspect your plugs, see how bad they are. These are actually fairly decent plugs. Doesn't look bad at all. Another thing you want to check, those plugs are already pre-gapped. You want to check your gap between your plug. The different type of tools, got this round base. It's a beveled edge. We got this one here. Now it's supposed to be between 0.039 and 0.43. So there's a 0.04. And you can feel it touching, but it's rolling through. So you basically just want to check all your gaps, make sure everything's good. It's rolling through too. They're tight, but so they're right around 0.04, which is fine. It takes a second to do, but you never know with shipping. Something could have happened. They could have dropped the box, or if you drop it, you might push this down, tighten the gap. But that's it. Basically, use a gap tool, like one like these, one like this. You have to spread it open. You can use it. Got these little hooks. Spread it open. Same thing. You can close it the same way. Same thing here. This one, you hook it in, pull it. Use that little circle. But check your gaps. Good thing to do. So I got the wire off right now. I'm going to start my new spark plug in first. I'm going to do this all by hand. You want to use that. You want a special tool because you don't want the spark plug to drop down into it. You could damage it. So all it is a socket with a little rubber ring in the center to hold the plug. So you started by hand first. You don't want to cross thread anything like that. Now it's seated. It's in there good. This is the wire that came off of it. Find out where it's going down to. Popping off the distributor. Snake it through. Now all I'm going to do is just go to the table and measure up the best length one. These are all 6 different lengths. and see which wire fits the best. I'm using this. It's funny, they actually have it labeled. This is the wire that matches the best. This is actually the number 6 plug. And if you look in your diagram in your book, that's your number 6. So I'm just going to snake it back through the way it came out. Pop it in the distributor. Make sure it's nice and seated. Now you want to torque these down. Want to be torqued down to 156 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. There you go. Now that's seated. Plug the wire in. And call it good. There's when your plug's done. So you do the same thing to all the rest. Pull your wire off, blow it out, take your old plug out, put your new one in by hand, and you crank it, torque it down. So let me just continue on and I'll wrap these all up. I think if you have one of these Haynes books, this is your firing sequence, 642. That's your cylinder heads, top. This is your distributor. So like I'm on my third one I'm on the one on the left in the front. That's number 2 cylinder. That's right here. And the thing about the NGK wires, they're actually labeled. So you can just grab the number 2 cylinder. I always double check And I always do one by one, double check the length of the wire, make sure everything matches up. Make sure everything's properly packed. But this is your now V8. 1998 is a little different. So that's the only. I think there's a different gap size and everything. But 97 and down, that's a Ford Probe, the GT with a V6. I think it's all pretty much the same. And yeah, this is 93 to 97. So I'm on my second cylinder. So I'm going to use. Good thing these wires are labeled, but you just get the old wire, match up the size, so you know exactly where to put it on the distributor. It's on the bottom, in the back, and that's in the front on the left. Number 2. Alright, got all the wires in. Plugs in, torqued down nice. New wires in. I always double check, make sure they're nice and seated. I'm going to try to tidy up this wiring. Same on the distributor, make sure they're nice and seated. Well, I think that's it. We'll start it up and see how she sounds. So good so far. It sounds pretty good. It's a cold day now. Let it warm up. It's pretty good. I'll put the front piece back on, intake back on, and I noticed that this is for my fuel pressure regulator. This is my cylinder that I changed out recently. A little filter cap is coming off. I think it's good. Alright, she's had a little bit of time to warm up. Let's see how she sounds. She sounds good to me. Alrighty, I'll say thanks for watching. Just changed my plugs, wires, my smart plugs and wires in my 4 Probe GT.